The envelope arrived on a Tuesday morning, crisp and official, with the county courthouse seal embossed in the corner. Ira Dawn's hands trembled as she sliced it open with a butter knife, her coffee growing cold on the kitchen counter. Inside was a summons for a custody hearing, except there was no custody to dispute. Their daughter, Lily, was 16 and had chosen to live with Ira 2 years ago when the divorce was finalized. She scanned the document again, her pulse quickening. Rowan Dawn, her ex-husband, was filing for full custody and requesting she pay him child support. The grounds listed made her stomach turn: parental alienation, emotional manipulation, and creating an unsafe home environment. Ira's phone buzzed. A text from Lily. "Mom, Dad's been asking weird questions about you. Said he's worried about me. What's going on?" She closed her eyes and took a breath. Rowan had been silent for 18 months, the occasional birthday text to Lily aside. Now this. Whatever he was planning, it was calculated. It always was. Attorney Marcus Chen adjusted his reading glasses and set the summons down on his mahogany desk. His office smelled of leather and old books, a comforting mix that did nothing to ease the knot in Ira's chest. "This is unusual," he said carefully. "Lily is old enough that most judges would simply ask her preference. But Rowan's filing suggests he has something, evidence or testimony, that he believes will be compelling." "Like what?" Ira leaned forward. "I've done nothing wrong. I work from home as a graphic designer. I'm always there for her. Her grades are excellent." "He's claiming you've been poisoning Lily against him." Marcus tapped the document. "And he's bringing witnesses, including..." He paused, his expression darkening. "His new wife, Sienna." The name hit Ira like a slap. Sienna. The woman Rowan had sworn was just a colleague during their marriage. The woman whose perfume Ira had smelled on his shirts, whose laughter she'd heard in the background of his late-night work calls. "She was the affair," Ira said flatly. "I know. But they're married now, and apparently, she's prepared to testify about your character." Marcus folded his hands. "Ira, I need you to be completely honest with me. Is there anything at all, that could be used against you?" Ira thought of her quiet life, her Saturday movie nights with Lily, the volunteering they did together at the animal shelter. "Nothing," she said. "But Rowan is good at making something out of nothing. He always was." That night, Ira couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the final years of her marriage. Rowan had been charming when they first met, ambitious, confident, the kind of man who could light up a room. But charm, she'd learned, could mask cruelty. The gaslighting had started small. Misplaced keys that he'd claim she'd moved. Conversations he'd swear never happened. Then came the financial control, the isolation from friends, the casual comments about her weight, her intelligence, her worth. When she'd finally found proof of his affair, hotel receipts hidden in his car, Rowan hadn't even denied it. He'd simply said, "Maybe if you'd been more interesting, I wouldn't have needed someone else." The divorce had been bitter. He'd fought for the house, for her inheritance from her father, for alimony despite earning 3 times her income. In the end, she'd walked away with Lily, her dignity, and very little else. Now he wanted to take the one thing that mattered. "Mom, do I have to see him?" Lily stood in the kitchen doorway, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun, her eyes red-rimmed. Ira looked up from her laptop where she'd been reviewing court documents. "Did he call you?" "He came by the school." Lily's voice cracked. "He said he misses me. That you've been keeping us apart. But Mom, I'm the one who didn't want to see him after what he did to you." Ira's heart clenched. She crossed the room and pulled her daughter into a hug. "Listen to me. Whatever happens in court, I will never let him take you from me. And I will never ever ask you to lie for me. If the judge wants to talk to you, you tell the truth about how you feel. That's all." Lily pulled back, wiping her eyes. But what if the truth isn't enough? It was the question that haunted Ira every waking moment. The custody hearing was scheduled for a grey Thursday morning in late October. Ira arrived early, dressed in a navy suit Marcus had suggested. Professional but not cold, conservative but not severe. She spotted Rowan immediately, standing near the courthouse steps with Sienna at his side. He looked the same, tall, polished, with that easy smile that made strangers trust him instantly. Sienna was younger than Ira had imagined, blonde and delicate, her hand resting possessively on Rowan's arm. When Rowan's eyes met Ira's, she saw calculation there. No warmth, no regret. Just strategy. Inside, the courtroom was smaller than she'd expected, wood-paneled and formal. Judge Catherine Morrison presided, a stern woman in her 60s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "We're here regarding the custody modification petition filed by Rowan Dawn," the judge began, reviewing her notes. "Mr. Dawn, you're requesting full custody of your daughter, Lily Dawn, currently aged 16. Please present your case." Rowan's lawyer, a silver-haired man named Gerald Hoffman, stood and buttoned his suit jacket. "Your Honor, my client is deeply concerned about his daughter's welfare. Over the past 2 years, Ms. Dawn has systematically alienated Lily from her father, refusing to facilitate visitation and speaking negatively about Mr. Dawn in Lily's presence." Ira's lawyer objected immediately. "Your Honor, Lily is 16. She's made her own choices about visitation based on her father's behavior during and after the marriage." Judge Morrison raised a hand. "I'll hear the evidence. Mr. Hoffman, call your first witness." The defense calls Rowan Dawn to the stand. Rowan walked to the witness box with the confidence of a man who'd rehearsed this moment. After being sworn in, he settled into the chair and looked directly at the judge, bypassing Ira entirely. "Mr. Dawn," Hoffman began, "please describe your relationship with your daughter." "I love Lily more than anything," Rowan said, his voice thick with emotion. "She's my whole world. But for 2 years, I've barely seen her. Every time I try to reach out, Ira blocks me. Phone calls go unanswered. Visits get cancelled at the last minute. And when I do see Lily, she's distant, cold. She repeats things her mother has clearly told her. Such as that I abandoned them, that I chose my new wife over my family, that I'm—" he paused, as if the words pained him, "that I'm a liar who can't be trusted." Ira's nails dug into her palms. Marcus cross-examined carefully. "Mr. Dawn, isn't it true that Lily stopped visiting you of her own volition after she learned about your affair?" "Ira told her about the affair," Rowan countered. "She weaponized it, made me look like a monster. I made mistakes in my marriage, yes, but I've never stopped being Lily's father." "You pay child support?" "Of course. Have you attended any of Lily's school events in the past 2 years?" A pause. "Ira never tells me when they are." Marcus pulled out a document. "Your Honor, I have emails from the school showing that Mr. Dawn is on all school mailing lists. He's been notified of every parent-teacher conference, every concert, every sporting event. The records show he attended none." Rowan's jaw tightened. "I have a demanding job. Yet you had time to remarry and take a 3-week honeymoon to the Maldives?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "No further questions, Your Honor." Judge Morrison made a note. "Mr. Hoffman, your next witness?" The defense calls Sienna Dawn. Sienna rose gracefully, her heels clicking against the courtroom floor. She wore a cream-colored dress that made her look innocent, vulnerable. As she was sworn in, she glanced at Ira with something that might have been pity or triumph. "Mrs. Dawn," Hoffman began, "you're married to Rowan Dawn. How would you describe his character?" "He's the most devoted father I've ever known," Sienna said softly. "He talks about Lily constantly. He's heartbroken that he can't be part of her life." "Have you met Lily?" "Once, briefly. She was polite but seemed coached, like she was afraid to be warm toward her father." Marcus objected. "Speculation, Your Honor." "Sustained." Stick to what you observed directly, Mrs. Dawn. Sienna nodded. Of course. I've just seen how much Rowan suffers. He's a good man who made a mistake, and he's being punished for it by being cut off from his child. Ira watched the performance, recognizing the tactics. Rowan had always been good at recruiting allies, at making others believe his version of reality. But then Judge Morrison leaned forward. Mrs. Dawn, the judge said, her tone measured. I have a question for you. Sienna blinked, clearly not expecting the judge to interject. Yes, Your Honor. You testified that you've met Lily once, briefly. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And when was this meeting? Sienna glanced at Rowan, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. About 6 months ago? Maybe 7. The judge consulted her notes. According to the visitation records, Lily hasn't seen her father in over 18 months. So I'm curious, where did this meeting take place? The courtroom went silent. Sienna's mouth opened, then closed. It was at a restaurant. Rowan and I ran into them. You ran into them, the judge repeated slowly. Mrs. Ira Dawn and Lily by chance, at a restaurant? Yes. Judge Morrison looked at Ira. Ms. Dawn, do you recall this encounter? No, Your Honor, Ira said clearly. Because it never happened. The judge turned back to Sienna. Mrs. Dawn, I want to remind you that you're under oath. Perjury is a serious offense. Are you certain about this meeting? Sweat beaded on Sienna's forehead. I think I might be confused about the timing. The timing, or the meeting itself? Rowan's lawyer stood. Your Honor, perhaps my client's wife is simply mistaken about dates. It's been an emotional process. Sit down, Mr. Hoffman. The judge's voice was steel. Mrs. Dawn, let me ask you something else. How long have you known Rowan Dawn? We've been together for 4 years, Sienna said quickly. Married for 2. 4 years, the judge repeated. That would mean your relationship began while Mr. Dawn was still married to Ms. Dawn. Is that correct? Sienna's face went white. We didn't. It wasn't. Yes or no, Mrs. Dawn? Yes, she whispered. The judge made a note, her expression unreadable. So you began a relationship with a married man, which ultimately led to the dissolution of his marriage and family. And now you're here, testifying about his character and his devotion to his daughter, a daughter whose home you helped destroy. Do I have that right? Sienna's eyes filled with tears. It wasn't like that. Rowan said his marriage was already over. That Ira was cold, that they hadn't been happy in years. I'm not interested in marital gossip, Judge Morrison cut her off. I'm interested in facts. And the fact is, you lied under oath about meeting Lily. That calls into question everything else you've testified to. Hoffman was on his feet. Your Honor, I request a recess. Denied. The judge looked at Marcus. Does the petitioner wish to cross-examine? Marcus stood, and Ira could see the satisfaction barely concealed on his face. Just one question, Your Honor. Mrs. Dawn, did your husband coach you on what to say today? Sienna looked at Rowan, panic in her eyes. Answer the question, the judge prompted. He told me it was important. That Ira had been poisoning Lily against him. He said I needed to help him get his daughter back. So he told you what to say? A long pause. Then, barely audible. Yes. Rowan shot to his feet. Your Honor, that's not. She's confused. Mr. Dawn, sit down, Judge Morrison ordered. You'll have your chance to respond. Mr. Hoffman, do you have any other witnesses? The lawyer looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. No, Your Honor. Then I'll hear from Ms. Dawn's side. Mr. Chen. Marcus approached the bench. Your Honor, we call Lily Dawn to testify. The courtroom doors opened, and Lily walked in, flanked by a court-appointed advocate. She looked small in the formal setting, but her spine was straight, her gaze steady. When she saw her mother, she gave a small, reassuring nod. Ira's heart swelled with pride and broke with guilt in the same moment. Her daughter shouldn't have to do this. Lily was sworn in, and Marcus began gently. Lily, can you tell the court about your relationship with your father? Lily took a breath. I loved my dad growing up. He was fun, always making jokes, taking me places. But when I was around 13, things changed. He started coming home late. He and Mom fought a lot. And then... She paused, gathering courage. I found out he was cheating. I heard them arguing about it. What happened after that? Marcus asked. Dad moved out. At first, I still saw him on weekends. But it was weird. He'd spend the whole time on his phone or talking about how Mom was making things difficult. He never asked about school or my friends. It felt like he was just going through the motions. When did you stop seeing him? About 2 years ago. He wanted me to meet Sienna, and I told him I wasn't ready. He got angry, said I was being manipulated by Mom. That I was ungrateful. Lily's voice shook slightly. He called me selfish. After that, I didn't want to see him anymore. It was my choice, not Mom's. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Lily, has your mother ever prevented you from seeing your father? No, Your Honor. She's actually encouraged it. She says he's still my dad and that I should give him a chance. But I don't want to. Not after everything he put her through. Hoffman stood for cross-examination, but his heart clearly wasn't in it. Lily, isn't it possible your mother's influenced your opinion of your father without you realizing it? No, Lily said firmly. I have my own memories. My own experiences. Mom never badmouths Dad to me. I wish she would sometimes because then maybe I wouldn't feel so alone in being angry at him. Hoffman had no response to that. Marcus presented additional evidence. Text messages from Rowan to Lily that went from cajoling to angry when she didn't respond. Emails to Ira accusing her of parental alienation despite Lily's clear statements that she was making her own choices. A letter from Lily's therapist confirming that Lily's decision to limit contact with her father was self-determined and healthy. Finally, Marcus called Ira to the stand. Under oath, Ira spoke calmly, clearly. She detailed the marriage, the affair, the gaslighting. She produced financial records showing that Rowan had tried to hide assets during the divorce. She showed emails where she'd offered to facilitate father-daughter meetings, only to have Rowan cancel or not show up. Ms. Dawn, Marcus asked, why do you think your ex-husband filed this custody motion? Ira looked at Rowan for the first time since entering the courtroom. Because he can't stand that I'm happy. That Lily and I have built a good life without him. This isn't about Lily's well-being. It's about control. It always has been. Hoffman's cross-examination was brutal. Isn't it true you spoke negatively about my client during the marriage? I confronted him about his affair, yes. I'm not sure that counts as speaking negatively when it was the truth. You kept Lily from seeing him. I never kept her from him. She chose not to see him. There's a difference. You're angry that he moved on, found happiness with someone else. I'm grateful he moved on, Ira said evenly. Sienna is welcome to him. But that doesn't give him the right to terrorize me through the legal system because his ego is bruised. Judge Morrison called a brief recess. Ira sat with Marcus in the hallway, her hands shaking from adrenaline. You did well, Marcus said. Very well. And Sienna's perjury may have sunk their entire case. But what if it's not enough? Ira whispered. What if he won't? Marcus's voice was confident. Judge Morrison is thorough. She saw through everything. When they reconvened, the judge looked tired but resolved. I've reviewed all testimony and evidence, she began. This is a difficult case, made more difficult by the clear acrimony between the parents. However, several facts are undisputed. Ira held her breath. First, Lily is 16 years old and capable of making reasoned decisions about her living arrangements and relationship with her father. Second, there is no credible evidence that Ms. Dawn has alienated Lily from Mr. Dawn. The evidence suggests Lily has made her own choices based on her experiences and observations. Judge Morrison looked at Rowan. Third, Mrs. Sienna Dawn committed perjury in this courtroom today, calling into question the credibility of Mr. Dawn's entire case. I'm referring her testimony to the district attorney for possible prosecution. Sienna gasped. Rowan's face went red. Furthermore, the judge continued, Mr. Dawn's conduct, his absence from Lily's life despite ample opportunity, his aggressive communications with both his daughter and ex-wife, and his decision to bring this frivolous custody motion, suggests that his motives are not primarily concerned with Lily's best interests. The judge turned to Lily. Young lady, I want you to know that your voice matters. You don't have to have a relationship with a parent who makes you feel unsafe or unhappy. That's your right. Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Therefore, I am denying Mr. Dawn's petition for custody modification. Lily will remain in her mother's primary custody. Furthermore, I am ordering that any future visitation between Mr. Dawn and his daughter be voluntary on Lily's part. She is not required to see him unless she chooses to do so. Relief flooded through Ira so powerfully she thought she might faint. But the judge wasn't finished. Additionally, Judge Morrison said, I am awarding Ms. Dawn attorney's fees in the amount of, she consulted her notes, $15,000, to be paid by Mr. Dawn within 60 days. This was a baseless action that wasted court resources and subjected a teenage girl to unnecessary trauma. Rowan's lawyer tried to object, but the judge silenced him with a look. Finally, I am imposing a restraining order. Mr. Dawn, you are not to contact your ex-wife except through attorneys. Any contact with Lily must be initiated by her, not you. Do you understand? This is outrageous, Rowan snarled, all pretense of the devoted father gone. You're taking her side because the evidence supports her position, the judge interrupted coldly. And if you continue to disrespect this court, I will hold you in contempt. This hearing is concluded. The gavel came down with finality. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Lily threw her arms around Ira, sobbing. It's over. It's really over. Ira held her daughter tight, her own tears falling freely. You were so brave in there. So strong. I was terrified, Lily admitted. But I couldn't let him win. Not after what he did to you. To us. Marcus joined them, a rare smile on his professional face. Congratulations. That was one of the most decisive rulings I've seen in a custody case. Thank you, Ira said. For everything. The attorney's fees will help, he noted. And the restraining order should keep him at bay. But Ira, his expression grew serious. Men like Rowan don't accept defeat easily. Be careful. The warning sent a chill down her spine, but she nodded. She'd been careful for years. She could continue. As they walked toward the exit, Ira glanced back and saw Rowan standing with Sienna near the courtroom doors. His face was twisted with rage, while Sienna looked shattered, the reality of her perjury charge sinking in. For a moment, Ira felt something almost like pity. Almost. 3 days later, Sienna called. Ira almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. I'm sorry, Sienna said immediately. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I need to say it. I lied because Rowan told me to. He said it was the only way to protect our family, that you were dangerous, that... She broke off. I was stupid. And now I might go to jail. You should talk to a lawyer, Ira said quietly. Not me. I know. You should know the truth. Rowan never cared about getting Lily back. He cared about hurting you. That's what this whole thing was about. Revenge because you left him, because you didn't fall apart when he expected you to. Ira had already suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed was still chilling. He's furious now, Sienna continued, talking about appeals, about finding other ways to make your life difficult. I'm leaving him. I can't be married to someone like that. That's probably wise, Ira said. Then, surprising herself, I hope you find someone who treats you better. Someone who doesn't ask you to lie under oath. After she hung up, Ira sat in her kitchen, processing. Rowan wouldn't let this go. She knew him too well. But for the first time in years, she felt ready for whatever came next. Over the following weeks, life slowly returned to normal. Lily's nightmares about the hearing faded. She started smiling more, laughing more. The tension that had gripped their household loosened. Ira received a check for $15,000 from Rowan's lawyer, the attorney's fees the judge had ordered. She used part of it to take Lily on a trip to New York, something they'd been talking about for years. They saw Broadway shows, visited museums, ate too much pizza. One night, sitting on the hotel balcony overlooking Times Square, Lily said, I'm glad you didn't give up. When Dad first filed that motion, I was scared you might just let him have what he wanted to avoid the fight. Never, Ira said firmly. You're worth fighting for. Always. Do you think he'll try again? Maybe. But we'll be ready if he does. The city lights sparkled below them, full of possibility. 2 months after the hearing, Ira received a call from the district attorney's office. They were moving forward with charging Sienna with perjury. We wanted to let you know, the prosecutor said, that Mrs. Dawn is cooperating fully. She's provided evidence that your ex-husband not only coached her testimony but created a false narrative for her to present to the court. What kind of evidence? Ira asked. Text messages. Mostly. He gave her a script. Told her exactly what to say about you, about Lily. It's pretty damning. Ira felt a grim satisfaction. Rowan's need for control had always been his weakness. Of course he couldn't trust Sienna to lie effectively on her own. Will he be charged with anything? We're considering it. Subornation of perjury is a felony, but that's still under review. After the call ended, Ira sat quietly. She didn't want revenge. Not really. She just wanted peace, safety, the freedom to live without fear. But if Rowan faced consequences for his actions, she wouldn't lose sleep over it. 6 weeks later, Rowan's lawyer reached out with a settlement proposal. In exchange for Ira agreeing not to cooperate with the DA's investigation into Rowan's role in Sienna's perjury, he would relinquish all parental rights to Lily and pay an additional $50,000 in damages. Ira read the offer 3 times, then called Marcus. It's a good deal financially, Marcus said carefully. But you need to think about what matters more, money or accountability. Ira thought about Lily, about their future, about the other women Rowan might manipulate if he wasn't stopped. I'm not taking the deal, she said. He needs to face consequences. Real ones. I was hoping you'd say that, Marcus replied, and she could hear the approval in his voice. She called the DA's office and told them she would cooperate fully with any investigation. 2 weeks later, Rowan was charged with subornation of perjury. The trial was quick. Sienna testified against Rowan, providing text messages, emails, and recorded phone calls where he'd instructed her exactly what to say in court. His desperation to destroy Ira had led him to create a detailed paper trail of his crimes. Ira attended the sentencing hearing, sitting in the back of the courtroom. She brought Lily, who'd asked to be there. Rowan was sentenced to 18 months in prison, suspended to 6 months and 2 years probation. He was also ordered to pay a $10,000 fine and complete anger management counseling. As the bailiff led him away, Rowan looked back at Ira. The rage was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like fear. Is it really over now? Lily whispered. Yes, Ira said. It really is. A year later, Ira stood in her new art studio, a space she'd rented with money from a major client contract she'd landed. Her graphic design business was thriving. She'd started dating someone kind, a teacher who made her laugh and never made her second-guess herself. Lily was 17 now, thriving in school, talking about colleges on the East Coast. She'd seen Rowan twice since his conviction, brief supervised visits that she'd initiated out of curiosity more than affection. Both times, she'd come home and told Ira, "I don't feel anything when I see him. Not anger, not sadness. Just nothing." "That's healing," Ira had told her. "That's what moving on looks like." Now, standing in her studio surrounded by her work, Ira thought about the woman she'd been 2 years ago, terrified in that courtroom, certain she was about to lose everything. She'd been so afraid of Rowan's power, his manipulation, his relentless need to win. But he hadn't won. Not because he was weak, but because she was stronger than she'd known. Her phone buzzed with a text from Lily, accepted to NYU. "Mom, I did it." Ira smiled, tears of joy blurring her vision. They'd both done it. They'd survived, fought back, and built something beautiful from the wreckage. The truth had won in the end. Not because the world was always just, but because she'd refused to stop fighting for it. And that, Ira thought, was the sweetest victory of all.